My first memory of John was when I was little. He'd pull up in his Jaguar. He used to show up all the time with different cars that I'd never seen before. He was a really cool uncle that fascinated me because I was never exposed to such awesome cars like Porsches, Datsuns, Jaguars, and of course his 300Zs. We had Buicks and Malibus. A lot of my memories with my dad also included John. Being at John and Shirley's, fishing, camping, hunting frogs and turtles with my sisters and friends. He truly was a big influence to me and who I've become today. His passion in cars and art got me interested in architecture and the same. Seeing all the details that he pointed out, how he sees things through the camera lens. I really picked up a lot from being around him, whether he knew it or not.
There's a lot of people that have asked me, well, how did you meet John? How did you come across him? And I said, well, it's kind of a funny story. We were looking for an artist to finish a little campaign we were doing, and didn't have anybody in mind. So I called a print company. I said, do you have any artists that I might be able to talk to? And so they gave me the names and numbers of two people, and I literally went like this. And under my finger was John's name, and that's how it all started.
When I was a kid, my grandpa used to come up to Fort Wayne and pick me up, and we'd go on excursions together. And one of the times we went to the mall for some reason, and we were just walking through this department store, and there were two teenagers standing in the middle of the hallway, and they were very blatantly kissing each other and making out in the middle of this department store. And I was like 8 years old, and my grandpa, without even skipping a beat, walked up to the boy. He tapped him on the shoulder and he says, "Hey, can you get a room?" And at the time I was completely mortified, but my favorite part of that story is knowing that that kid never forgot that. And he probably still thinks about that and laughs about that old guy that went up to him at the store that day. Whether you knew him for 15 seconds or 15 years, he made an impression on you.
So I first got to meet John when I was the new director for the ACD Festival, and initially I was so nervous to meet him. Of course, he was a living legend, really so important to the festival and so important to the history of the festival, and I knew that. So I knew it was a very important part of my job was to keep John happy, and so it was kind of funny looking back to think about how much happiness John brought to me. Even when John would stop by my office to, as he would say, pick on me, I always got so much out of our visits. We would often sit and talk for hours. And even though we didn't always agree on everything, I think we both grew so much from our friendship.
We met, through the festival, obviously, when I had started about 3 years ago when Sarah had left. And we met at the Auburn House of Pancakes, and he was filling me out to see kind of what my intentions are, like what are your intentions with my daughter kind of conversation. And, within 5 minutes, we really kicked it off well. We had a lot of personality similarities, and we both, shared a love for the martial arts, which we spoke about often.
I've been a friend of John's for 45 years. We first met at the Auburn Court-Duesenberg Museum, where John gave me a tour of the various cars. I was impressed with one aspect of John that I kind of noticed then, and has been a component of his personality that I got used to, which was his attention to detail. Because I've always referred to it as John's artistic DNA. And he constantly reminded me that I should slow down and absorb the subtle innuendos of life, because that gave it its fullness. But there was a second part to John's DNA that I think was equally as important, and that was his empathy. I haven't met many people that were that empathetic. He could enter a room and sort of size up everybody's emotion before anyone spoke. And it was a tremendous gift, and one that I wish I could emulate.
After meeting John, he took care of the project for us, and we really hit it off. Everything had its own style. And I could explain to John what I wanted, and I'd turn it over to him. And voila, it would come back perfect. He was a large part of our success because he was so very, very talented. Computers weren't really used that much. It was all with the hands and art. John always said later on when the computers came in, if you weren't an artist before then, a computer isn't going to make you be able to draw, which made a lot of sense when you think about that.
Our relationship always grew closer as he retired and I matured. The last year I had amazing conversations with him about my dad that I never knew, about my grandfather, and of course John. Come to find out he was quite the climber as the kid, if anybody knows the story of the radio towers. And seeing the people around really shows what matters in life. It's not the things. They may stay behind and give friends fond memories, but the question is what does really matter.
My grandpa taught me everything there is to know about just how to behave. You know, like he was the wisest man and like the most kind person. Like he would mess with you relentlessly. Like he was always a smart aleck, but like he never meant any harm, and he was just so genuine. And I carry that in my heart with me. Like even like a few days before he passed, I was telling him that I was just like him, and all my good attributes I can, thank him for.
I always thought it was so much fun that he really put so much thought and motivation and inspiration into those posters. So his talent goes well beyond just his artistic talent, but also his talent for bringing this community into what is the ACD Festival and then sharing that with the world. I know he and his brother would spend hours and hours delivering posters all around Auburn, I think to everyone in town. And oftentimes I'm sure many people didn't even realize that it was his own artwork that he was delivering. So his gift to the festival went well beyond just his artistic talent. His heart for the community and his heart for the festival really came from a place of great generosity.
I was just always amazed at his poise and his willing to do more and not ask questions and just say, what else do you need from me? At every point, it just was like, wait, you do this for free? Okay, the festival doesn't pay you anything. You don't want anything? Should we be paying you kind of conversations, just trying to wrap my head around how everything kind of came together. He was always very adamant about, I do this because I love it. When I started, I thought I was just going to do one poster and that was it. And then it turned into 36 years of some of the most amazing work that I think Auburn has ever seen in the world. And that's going to last, a million lifetimes. He's a legend in that right, and he should be.
There's truly so many things that go on in 45 years. The relationships that you build, business goes to friendships. I had a wonderful relationship with John. We'd go to Lake Souder behind his house there, and he would invite my grandchildren to come along. We'd go fishing, and that's when my grandson learned to shoot. Before you thought you needed something, he had it for you. John was kind of like having a grandpa, so to speak.
A friend of mine from Knoxville posted this on Facebook, and I thought it was fitting the morning that John died. What really matters? Life is a gift. Each day is precious, and we can't hold on to the promise of tomorrow. So what's something we can do? We can this day celebrate the ones we love. We can create special moments with them. We can say, I love you. Thing is, unless we strive to make this happen, it won't. Because let's be real, life always gets in the way. They're busy, I'm busy, we're all busy, right? Think about what matters most. Choose the more important things over the lesser ones. Balance busy schedules and meaningful moments. Call a friend and let them know you're thinking about them. Tomorrow's not promised. Make time and show someone you care. Even if it means rearranging carefully planned mornings, and whether in word or deed, always choose to say I love you. We love you, John.
The hardest part about all of this is knowing that I'm not going to be able to call him, but I have saved every voicemail he's ever left me, every email he's ever sent me, every drawing he's ever done with me, whether it was on a napkin, and I will always have him with me, and that's just the best part about it.
John, over the 4 decades that I knew him, never said a bad thing about anybody. He had this positive view of life, and one that even in the depths of his fight with cancer, he always had a smile. He always had something nice to say. It was a very powerful aspect of who he was. So if you take those three things, the attention to detail, the empathy, and this positive outlook on life, you've got John Souder. I will miss John.
I was looking through one of my songbooks at home, and I think I ran across a piece that a lady wrote back in 1891, a hymn, and I thought it fit John to a T. My faith has found a resting place, not in device or creed. I trust the ever-living one, his wounds for me shall plead. I need no other argument, I need no other plea. It is enough that Jesus died, and that he died for me. Farewell, my friend. See you in the next life.
He said, cancer isn't the hardest part for me. Watching Shirley go through what she's going through, that's what hurts. Which I thought was super profound, because even, at the end, he was thinking about somebody else before himself. And that's just the kind of, person John was. He just wanted to do what he thought was right. And so he would be laughing at all this. He would be giggling at his champagne toast that we're going to be doing. And the fact that he was like that just tells us even more that he deserved it that much. So, John, we love you. We think the world of you. We're all going to miss you, and we'll see you in the next life.
He loved this community. He loved life. He, of course, loved the festival. And everything he did was just so full of love. And I think that really shone through. Again, I think just coming from somebody who'd battled such illness with such grace. I think the idea that he gave freely without any expectation of return or pride that went along with it, he did it because he thought it was what was right for this festival and what he thought was right for our community and what he thought was right for this world. I think everyone will remember John by giving a little of themselves to the community, and that's the memory that I hope we share of my friend John.